What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode number 304 of the VK Bros with Jason and Alex VK. Early warning. No more budget talk. No more Australian politics talk. I know you guys are over it, so we're having a show off. How are you going this week, Alex?
Shit.
Shit.
Yeah, no, I literally just got off the phone. I've had my day has been completely turned on its head, and compliance, dude. I've just been on the phone with the bank. Kept getting notifications like you got to update your details. Well, you don't need to update your details if your details haven't changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means you're not updating them.
Yeah.
An update is a change. Bring them to up to date. Well, if they are up to date, then I don't need to do anything.
Yep.
Right? And then they essentially was sending me messages on my app saying that we're going to restrict your account if you don't do this. So I rang them and was on the phone for 40 minutes for them to say that everything, like to go through line by line, everything was the same.
Wow.
Nothing's changed. Oh, thanks for that. And they kept on saying it's for government compliance. Now, what I found interesting is when I first dialed the number that told me to dial, it says like these calls will be recorded for training and reporting.
For the government.
And we have a very strict policy about abuse. We'll be nice to you as long as you're nice to us. And like we can terminate the call. I'm like, oh, you must get a lot of people abusing you. And I can see why, because although this lady was very sweet over the phone, but why am I wasting 45 minutes to do nothing?
Look, I know he promised not to talk about the government, but I also can't help but find it interesting that this call was about your trust setup for your business, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so it's probably not a coincidence that all of a sudden people are ringing around to make sure all of your trust details are up to scratch.
And they're also quite happy to tell me how much money was in that too.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's move on from that. I'm going to start with a quick little Origin chat. Now, you guys will be hearing this on Monday. We are recording this on Thursday, so it is the day post-State of Origin. Origin would have been done to death for anyone who cares about it up until this point. So I'm just going to say a couple of little bits and pieces. The first thing I will say is on the controversial call of the Kalen Ponga send-off. Personally, I don't believe it was send-off worthy. I believe it ruined the game. I believe he deserved 10 in the bin. I think there were mitigating circumstances. You guys have probably heard all the stories about it. So yeah, I don't think that should have happened, and essentially that handed New South Wales the win. Credit to New South Wales, they did have to actually score the points to be able to win the game.
It definitely maximised that opportunity.
Yeah, but as I've already spoken to you about earlier today, in an NRL season which everyone agrees is completely over-refereed, there have only been 2 send-offs for the whole season, and both of those send-offs occurred within the last 10 minutes of each game, so it's essentially the same as a 10 in the bin anyway, because it doesn't matter. So I find it convenient that the first time a player is really sent off with more than 10 minutes to go is in State of Origin 1 with New South Wales down by 20 points to 6. The second thing I'll say, Ashley Klein sucks. He ruins every major...
For those who don't know, who is that?
That is the bald referee who, for some reason, keeps being handled the whistle on the most high-profile games. He does this every single time. He makes this about himself. It's one of the most frustrating things as a sport fan. But the thing I'll finish this up on something really quick, because obviously you guys all know it. I'm a Queensland fan. Yes, I'm salty about the loss. Do I think that New South Wales deserved to win it? Absolutely not. It was pretty clear when it was 13-13 that Queensland was dominating the contest. So yeah, anyway, I'll get that to the side. But the number one thing that annoyed me about that game was the first half. The first half was the best half of football I have seen all season, because the referee put the whistle away and let the players decide who was going to win the contest. There was basically almost no penalties blown in the first half, almost no 6-agains blown in the first half. Queensland were clinical. New South Wales made some key errors, dropping the ball, etc. And Queensland punished them for those errors. And I remember I texted the group chat at about 13, 14 minutes into it, and I said, how good is it to actually see a genuine arm wrestle for the first time in a long time? That's what rugby league always used to be. That's what the game is to me. It's not this high scoring, high penalty, constant try scoring game. It never has been that. It's always been about which team is going to crack first. And in recent years, we've taken that out of the players' hands and we put it in the referees' hands. And what annoys me the most out of the whole game is the fact that first 40 minutes was awesome. Why is the NRL robbing its fan base of that every week in, week out, 8 games a weekend? It is a far better product when the ref stays out of it and just facilitates the game rather than controlling who wins or loses, which we see every weekend. So that's all I'm going to say on it. Did you have anything that you want to add?
No, can you pause for 2 seconds, please?
Right. All right, we're back. I'm just going to...
So, yeah, no, I have something to say.
All right,
I have something to say. I haven't watched NRL for far out. 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
New girlfriend likes it. So I've watched 2 games in a month.
You're a pussy. You pussy.
And last night's game I watched by myself.
Oh, look at you go.
I'd come home late.
Growing a pair all of a sudden.
Yeah. No, well, I was like, oh, got nothing on, and I tried to download a movie that didn't download, so I was like, I'll just watch. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. But what I didn't enjoy, and I've spoken to you about it, is it's a different. The product's different to what I remember.
Yeah.
And it's not better.
Yeah.
This 6 again thing is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know I can't tell what's happening to cause he's waving his hand 6 again. Like, what for?
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, is there like they roll some dice and they're like, oh yeah, he gets a bonus 6 again. Yeah. It was just felt like that. And then on the last game that I watched, which was during Magic Round, there just seemed to be a real inconsistency between, and really, I'm really particular on how much time they're spending on the tackles.
Yep.
To me, it was never a big issue before. And now that they've almost made it an issue, I guess the idea was to speed the game up. But now if you keep penalising them, it's slowed it back down again.
Yeah. What's interesting about this for me is your opinion matters more than mine when it comes to this. And the reason being that I'm a super fan. I'm going to watch the game anyway. You're not. And you are exactly who the NRL is trying to attract into the game. They want people who don't watch the game to come in and become fans of the game. And I'm a long-time viewer, and I don't know what the reason for half the 6 again calls that are made. And the problem about them is when you call a penalty, the game stops. There's replays at play. Everyone goes, ooh, that happened. Everyone can see what happened. But when it's a 6 again, it's just bang, play on. So the accountability level is extremely low on the referee. The other thing I'll say, there is no sport on the planet that punishes their players more for making mistakes than rugby league. Like, look at Kalen Ponga, right? So Kalen Ponga makes a mistake, and that's what it was. It was not intentional. It was a mistake. He gets sent off for 23 minutes, costs his team the game. It gives a penalty away to New South Wales at the time that it happens. Now, if it really was a send-off worthy offence, he should have been given a few weeks suspension for that. That's the other irony about this for me. Match Review Committee came out and just gave him a fine, which means it wasn't a send-off worthy offence in the first place. And that also brings in the fact that Ashley Klein literally overruled the bunker, which you just never see about calls, but I'll put that to the side. But if new fans are coming into the game going, I don't know what that was for, and they can't understand the game, they won't watch the game. And that's my case with AFL. I've never been into AFL because in the times that I've watched it, it's so confusing to me that a lot of the rules are a little bit unclear to a rookie like me, and I could just never get into it. And if you're trying to attract more people in, you need to make it as clean and clear cut as you possibly can. And that's one of the things why, like soccer, is they call it the world game. Do you know why soccer has the highest player count for young people across the world, Alex? Do you know the reason?
No.
It has the smallest rule book.
which is a microcosm of society.
Correct. It is the most engaged in sport because there are a small amount of rules and it's easy to follow and easy for kids to understand. And also for regular punters off the street to understand. You watch a soccer game, you can figure out what's going on.
Much like society, you can't engineer a product.
Yeah. Which the NRL is absolutely trying to do. And most people agree, long-term fans agree, that last year they got the balance right. It was the most enjoyable season for a long time, and this year they're really dropping the ball on it. So
well, Formula One's struggling in a similar vein because their new regulations came out for this year. So all new car design, it was really trying to achieve essentially like a net zero type thing.
Right.
And the cars are very heavily electrified now as opposed to just petrol engines. And it's caused huge issues for the spectacle. Now, you're getting a lot of on-track passing, which the layman might like.
Yep.
But it's the equivalent of you trying to race your friend on the street, and when your friend gets too far ahead, they pull the handbrake on him, and then you get to pass it.
It's like Mario Kart.
It's
remember old school Mario Kart?
That's been made. The joke has been made, and like they asked Max what training he's been doing for the new season, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm working on picking up the mushrooms, and then I'll get the shells. I'm working on the shells." That's been a joke that they've said.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Let's get off sport. Let's get off.
Yeah, look, I just want to say one other thing too. One point I will make about this is I think, and look, I don't want to get full tinfoil hat about this. I will, and especially in my group chat with my mates, but one of the main reasons for my frustration is I've also been watching some of the NBA finals at the same time. And I think we've got a massive problem in sports all over the world with the amount of money that these games take in now and how much it costs you when you lose games. So like Origin, for example, right? Last night's game was a New South Wales home game. It's a best of 3 series. Next game goes to a neutral venue in Melbourne. And then the last game is played up in Queensland. So if New South Wales lost last night, there's probably a lot of New South Wales casual viewers who are like, well, that's probably the series over. I'm not tuning in next time. I'm not buying the merch, etc., etc. Also, if Queensland wins next game, it sets up an absolute blockbuster series decider in game 3. So you've got to think about the amount of money in merch, ticket sales, broadcast rights, all that stuff which is hinging on that. The NBA is doing the exact same shit, and it is frustrating me to no end because I've watched like 2 games in the OKC versus Spurs final series, and the games are refereed depending on who the league wants to win that game. It is clear as day.
It's like it's WCW wrestling. It's not.
Exactly. It's basically as close to as scripted as it can get now because the referees are deciding who wins the games, not the players.
I was having a coffee and they had the NBA playing in the background, and I watched a guy take 5 steps to do a layup, and no one bothered to defend it. My eyes, just what you did just then, my eyes rolled so far in the back of my head. I was like, "Oh, change it."
It's becoming unwatchable, and the problem is, like, I was talking to a mate of mine about this yesterday. In the NRL, like one of the most refreshing things about that first 40 minutes is
we can't talk about NRL, man.
I know, but that first 40 minutes last night, one of the best things about it was, because he put the whistle away, the players who had been tackled, normally every week, all they do is try to milk a penalty and a 6 again.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And the players realised real quick, the ref's not going to call those now. So then what you saw was players actually struggling to try to get up as quickly as they could to play the ball to give their team an advantage. That actually creates the incentive for what you want to have a better product, right?
Yeah.
But when you reward milking penalties, which Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the king of it in the NBA. They made him the MVP. It's like how they gave Cleary the player of the match last night. In my opinion, it should have been Sam Walker. On debut, killed it when the teams were even, and then Cleary did nothing until the last 20 minutes, right? And it's great. It's easy to look like a superstar when you're playing against a team that's a man down for 23 minutes. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in a game yesterday, he scored 30 points. That's huge in the NBA. Off 6 made shots.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The rest of his points were at the free throw line.
Yeah, and which is not a spectacle.
It's just not. And like me growing up, guys like Kobe Bryant were my favourite player because I grew up in that era. I didn't really get to watch Jordan play that much. And Kobe was the best because he was a competitor and he used skill, athleticism, and just competitive spirit to beat you off the dribble, score over you, jump shot around you, like whatever. But he wanted to score on you.
Yeah.
Now, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander uses all those exact same skills to pump fake a defender into overcommitting and drawing a foul on them, and then he scores his points at the free throw line. It's just not the game.
You just made me think of like a meme, which is the gladiator. Are you not entertained? And having someone in the background going, no.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem, is the games are becoming less entertaining. I used to watch multiple basketball games a week. I don't watch it anymore. I just can't. I basically tune out for the whole regular season, and then I'll watch a few finals games, and if they don't give me the shits, I'll hang around for another one, but more often than not, they do, and I just don't watch it anymore, and I don't care. So that's going to happen. And yeah, anyway, let's move away from the sporting arena. I want to talk to you guys about alpha gal syndrome and the Lone Star
I
ticks.
I don't know anything about this, so you are going to hold my hand through this.
Yeah. Have you got the resources I sent you through?
Yes.
Okay. Don't bring don't bring any of them up yet, because I just want to give people a bit of a precursor. This entire show came about because of a conversation I was having with our mum. Because our mum has a friend who has recently been diagnosed with alpha gal syndrome. For those of you who don't know what...
Sorry, who has?
I'll tell you after the show.
Okay.
So this was in a conversation 2 weeks ago with Mum. For those of you who don't know, alpha gal syndrome is a syndrome which is passed on by certain types of ticks, most notably the Lone Star tick, right? Yep. In the United States. And essentially, alpha gal is like a sugar molecule which gets passed on from the tick to you, which tricks your body into essentially rejecting red meat. So you develop an allergy to red meat products.
Yeah.
And it stays with you for life. And as far as they know, there's no cure at the moment. And what I found really interesting about this is that this particular person who's been diagnosed with this thing has lived in the same area, which has like all the same paralysis ticks, and works on a farm, and has been there for 50 years, maybe longer.
Yep.
Never had a problem before. And so I made this offhand comment to Mum, going, well, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that say that Lone Star ticks were genetically modified in a lab and released to spread this alpha gal syndrome to cut down on people eating red meat. Mm-hmm. And obviously, she thought I was a crazy person.
Yeah.
I've seen that look many times over the last few years.
It's almost like exclusively the look we get whenever we interact with people.
Yeah. But I just want to take you for a little bit of a stroll through the tick-infested woods of this story, because there has been a lot of stuff popping up on my social media, even for the last few years, about how all of a sudden there's farmers finding tick boxes, and this is mainly in the United States, like boxes of ticks literally just left on their properties, ticks coming out of them, filming it, recording it, posting it online. And a lot of this stuff sounds like it's insane and crazy and whatever. And it made me think, right? So who do we know who has been talking about the negatives of red meat, more specifically bovine agriculture, for the last decade and a half?
I think you'll find that's Bill Gates.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog, correct.
Yeah.
Billy G. So Billy G is an interesting cat, because as we all know, Bill Gates is not a doctor, has no qualifications in health, and yet has become some sort of public health czar via his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation-based donations to not only the World Health Organization, but Gavi and a whole range of different health initiatives. And he markets himself as being a philanthropist trying to make the world a better place. But really, all he does is use these apparently quote-unquote independent bodies to push the products that he's invested in, so he makes billions and rolls on to the next thing. And if I can remind people, during COVID, for example, while we covered it on the show, he was a massive pusher of the mRNA vaccines. He was also the person who stood in the way of them taking patent protections off the mRNA technology. And his claim was because, he wanted to make sure that everyone doesn't get you can't just produce this stuff anywhere. You've got to have specialists making it, blah, blah. In other words, it was...
Even though that's what he said, the beauty of the mRNA platform was that you could spin up one anywhere and gene sequence it so fast
Correct.
you could literally just print them anywhere you wanted. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then don't forget too that it wasn't until after he dumped all of his stock in BioNTech, which was the Pfizer BioNTech, it was the German company. Because again, you don't invest in the American arm of the company, you invest in the German one that no one's looking at. After he dumped his stock, all of a sudden he started saying that the mRNA vaccines didn't work very well because they weren't broad enough and blah, blah, blah. So he rode it all the way up, dumped his stock, and then shit on it afterwards because he was trying to come up with another solution for it. So he has history in this, and he's been doing this for a long time. The irony is that a lot of people say that he originally made a lot of his money via Microsoft Windows, but through antivirus sales for viruses that he was creating and infecting his computers with. But we'll leave that one for another day. But what this made me think of is because, like, there's all these stories about alpha-gal syndrome in the United States, and I'm like, we don't have Lone Star ticks in Australia, so why is it that all of a sudden regular old paralysis ticks that have been here forever are now starting to give human beings in Australia alpha-gal syndrome? And when I was having this conversation with Mum, I brought up the fact that it wasn't that long ago, I think it was a year or two ago, there was conversations around releasing genetically modified mosquitoes in Queensland. You would remember we discussed this on the show. Again, bit of a refresher. For those of you who live in Queensland, this didn't go ahead. But the reason it didn't go ahead was because the company that was being charged with releasing these mosquitoes, there was concerns about whether or not they had the funding available to hold a commercial license for long enough, essentially to maintain liability if something went wrong. And the point was, what they were going to do is release this genetically modified mosquito into the wild that had a self-limiting gene in it. So essentially, their offspring, when they mated with the native population, would not be able to reproduce. So the point is, you release them, they mate with the local population, and then the next generation can't reproduce, no more mosquitoes, no more dengue fever. That was the point. So I looked up the company. The company was Oxitec Australia. Oxitec Australia is a subsidiary of their parent company, which is Oxitec Limited. So if you have a look here, Oxitec Australia, climate change, about us, climate change, invasive species, and growing pest resistance are driving new challenges worldwide, including the unprecedented rise of dengue fever globally. 2024 has already surpassed the worst year for dengue cases on record, with over 14 million cases and over 10,000 dengue-related deaths. In Australia, the World Health Organization reports cases this year are approximately 2.0 times higher than in 2023. So, I just want to, again, because we love wordplay on this show, I want to draw your attention to the fact that they used two different measuring metrics within two sentences. So, the first sentence, they talked about 14 million cases worldwide and over 10,000 deaths.
Yeah.
When it comes to Australia, where they wanted to release these genetically modified mosquitoes, they said the cases are approximately 2 times higher than in 2023.
Which could mean there was one case and then there was two, therefore 2.0 times higher than in 2023.
Absolutely right. So, obviously, this means the majority of people would not be sufficiently spooked enough if they actually gave you those real numbers. Now,
and why 2.0?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they want to change it.
Maybe because it looks close to 20?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
It could be some more NLP going on there.
Yeah.
So what I found interesting about this company, so Oxitec Australia was only set up in, I think, December 2024. It was either 23 or 24 that it was officially set up. And it's literally set up in a partnership with the CSIRO.
Right.
Who is the current head of biosecurity and health at the CSIRO, Alex?
It's not the ex-health minister, old bloke with the glasses.
You're on the right track, but the wrong guy.
Who is it?
It is former Chief Health Officer of Victoria, Brett Sutton.
Oh!
Right?
Yeah.
Now,
I cook mosquitoes.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Oxitec Limited has received roughly $35 million worth of funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Okay.
And right, at this stage, we're still talking mosquitoes. Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. I should have just scrolled
Oh,
down.
yeah, look, here you go. So, a quote from the Director of Health and Biosecurity at CSIRO, Professor Brett Sutton, in quotes, Oxitec Australia offers a unique opportunity to help combat the growing threat of invasive and exotic pests. Factors like climate change and growing pesticide resistance will only bring greater challenges to the health of Australians and our region via vector-borne diseases. By investing in new and innovative solutions that complement existing control programs, we can reduce the public health impacts of these exotic and invasive mosquito species. So, we're literally looking at all the same characters, right? Brett Sutton, who controlled Victoria's response during the pandemic. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who has invested money in every single part of these apparently public health measures, which are we're essentially having these sold to us on false pretenses, right? Given those numbers before. 2 times higher than what? We don't know. And obviously, if there were any deaths, they would have told us about them. But in a first world country, people don't die from dengue fever.
Yeah, we had notice. So the product must be called Friendly because they've every time that says Friendly, it's trademarked.
Yep.
Notice how they put a nice word around a genetically modified.
Well, it is. It's great that you picked that up because Friendly is the the trademarked word they use to describe their products. So I went through and I was looking at what are some of the other grants that Oxitec has received and what are some of the other products that they have made. And by golly, what you would find, in 2021, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave Oxitec Limited, so this is the parent company in the United States, a grant of over $1 million for a genetically modified friendly cattle tick program. Genetically modified ticks designed to mate, same thing, mate with, there's an invasive tick species in America, which is essentially a paralysis tick, which is messing up livestock. Exactly same game plan. Mate with the native species, pass on that self-limiting gene, and then they can no longer reproduce, and everyone's happy. So in other words, what I'm saying is this. Genetic modification of ticks is already happening.
Yeah, of course.
This is proven.
Yeah.
These are products. This is happening all around the world as a commercial venture backed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, as we know, if you look at through the lens of COVID as well, we already knew that a lot of the pharmaceuticals that were being produced to fight COVID, we already knew that those things were in production for a long time. There was talks about using mRNA before COVID even existed to treat viral diseases, right? We played that clip of Fauci talking about it, I think it was back in 2018, was talking about how it was going to be the next big thing. So we already know this stuff. And just like everything else, if you think that we are being told about every single thing they're genetically modifying, then you are kidding yourself as well. So I also wanted to talk about the other things that Bill and Melinda Gates, but
just before you move on to that, I wrote a note down, something you said early on, which was the farmers finding boxes of ticks.
Yep.
So it just made me think there was at the time it was the largest computer virus to ever go around, the Stuxnet virus.
Yeah.
The Stuxnet virus was designed to infect every computer on Earth, specifically to find a pump that it was used in the Iranian nuclear power facility to spin it up and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they realized that the system was closed. Like they wasn't connected to the internet.
Right.
It was all
someone pulled the plug out of the wall.
Essentially, well, never plugged it in. So what they did was someone, it definitely wasn't the CIA and it definitely wasn't Mossad, went on a tour of the facility and just left USB drives everywhere.
Right.
And then what happened? Someone picked it up,
plugged it in to see what was on it.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking when you said leaving a box. Perfect.
Yeah. Now,
perfect.
So the next part of this that I want to bring up, because there is a similar thing happening in Australia, specifically in Queensland right now, which people have been railing about for years now, which is the poisoning of fire ants, the fire ant eradication program that they're running at the moment. And this is another one of these things where you've got government overstepping to essentially poison people's properties without even checking whether or not the fire ants are there. And the irony being, if you're poisoning these properties and they're not fire ant specific poisons, it'll kill everything that comes into contact with it, all insects, all other ants. The best defense against fire ant invasion is actually the native ants, because the native ants try to fight them. They want to keep their territory and keep them away. Right. So if you kill off all the natives, it's actually going to make it easy for fire ants to travel around. Now, can you please bring up, because obviously, where am I going with this? Can you bring up the YouTube clip?
Jail?
Yeah.
Jail for posing the question?
Yeah, absolutely. But can you bring up the YouTube clip I sent you of the WF-linked bioethicist calling for genetically modifying humans to induce meat intolerance? Short clip.
So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they...
Just for audio listeners, I could curl this guy. He's so skinny. He's wearing a small suit and he's swimming in it. And he's talking, "Eat meat."
So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, "Wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it." I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
So that is a World Economic Forum boffin essentially saying we think that it's a good idea to create artificial meat allergies in people who do not want to give up eating red meat because it's the right thing for the environment. And that might sound crazy, right? Because you're like, oh, these guys are crazy and no one actually trusts them and believes them or whatever. Can you go to the PubMed article that I sent through? It was the first thing I sent on the 23rd of May. So again, when I'm thinking about all this sort of stuff, I'm like, knowing that my mother thinks I'm insane, I need to go and find evidence, right? Because that's what we do. So I ended up here.
Hold on. No, just before you... Okay, I want to drill down on that point. Because something we've spoken about a lot on the show is these conversations that we're having with people that give you that blank, you're crazy look. Do what Jason's done. When you hear these things, instead of going, "Nah, that's ridiculous," go, "Tell me more." And then if you don't believe it after the discussion with your conspiracy therapist friend, go and research it for yourself. Actually go and have a look to verify. Don't trust, verify.
And you would be surprised how often all this stuff is hiding in plain sight as well. That's what's so frustrating about it. And the second point that I'll make, which just carries on from your point too, why do you apply such a high standard to us and your other conspiracy theory mates that you don't apply to your other trusted authorities of information? You don't apply it to politicians. They tell you stuff on the TV. You don't say, "Show me your evidence." You just eat it up. So apply the same skepticism to them as you apply to us. I encourage you to apply skepticism to the things that we talk about. Go and do your own research. Like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do on how to think and how to live your life. I'm just trying to open up your eyes to the idea that not everything is as it seems. And perhaps if you are skeptical of us, you should also be skeptical of other people as well. So this is the National Institute of Health Library of Medicine. This is the American government's website. It is a government website. It is where all published research studies go after they have been peer-reviewed, right? They are peer-reviewed studies. And I came across this one from October 2025. So less than 6 months ago, essentially. It is titled Beneficial Blood Sucking.
I can't believe you found this.
And I just want to read the abstract for you. The bite of the Lone Star tick spreads alpha-gal syndrome, or AGS, a condition whose only effect is the creation of a severe but non-fatal red meat allergy. Public health departments warn against Lone Star ticks and AGS, and scientists are working to develop an inoculation to AGS, so don't be surprised if a vaccine starts coming out, all right? Herein, we argue that if eating meat is morally impermissible, then efforts to prevent the spread of tick-borne AGS are also morally impermissible. So notice how we're on, like, this is science, but we're talking about morals and ethics. I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
After explaining the symptoms of AGS and how they are transmitted via ticks, we argue that tick-borne AGS is a, get this, moral bioenhancer, if and when it motivates people to stop eating meat.
What?
Right? We then defend what we call the convergence argument. If, I think Xing means spreading, if spreading prevents the world from becoming a significantly worse place, doesn't violate anyone's rights, and promotes virtuous action or character, then spreading is strongly pro tanto obligatory. Promoting tick-borne AGS satisfies each of these conditions. Now, how promoting spreading a red meat allergy doesn't violate people's rights is beyond me. But, as people often say, you have to be an academic to come up with ideas like this.
Yeah, I'm just going to punch this into AI. I've got an interesting question about it.
Okay.
Is that all you want?
No, because the bottom of it is the best. So yeah, AGS satisfies each of these conditions. Therefore, promoting tick-borne AGS is strongly pro-tanto obligatory. It is presently feasible to genetically edit the disease-carrying capacity of ticks. If this practice can be applied to ticks carrying AGS, then promoting the proliferation of tick-borne AGS is morally obligatory. Which means morally, we are obligated to do so.
Hold on.
What are you doing?
I'm just telling AI, this is an abstract from PubMed. And I asked, my prompt is, why does this feel wrong?
That's interesting.
I just want to see what it says.
Because that's fucking crazy, guy. Because deliberately infecting people with a syndrome to make them allergic to one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet is morally and ethically wrong.
No, that's not worked. Hold on. That is a crazy...
It's wild, right?
That's scary, man.
And look, while you look that up, like, again, getting back to the Bill Gates connection, the other thing that Bill Gates has been heavily invested in and promoting is lab-grown meats. So, like, again, I can't... what frustrates me so much is it's like, how much evidence do you need to see that this guy, who is not a doctor, who, for some reason, like, the only reason why he has any power in global health is money. It's the only reason. If he had no money, no one would listen to a fucking word he has to say. So a guy...
Here we go.
Okay, what have you got?
It feels wrong because the abstract makes a radical moral claim while smuggling in several very controversial premises as if they were settled facts. It also describes a potential life-threatening disease as if it's the only effect were a severe but nominal red meat allergy, which is misleadingly narrow. What feels off? The biggest issue is that the argument starts at if eating meat is morally impermissible, but never really earns that premise in the abstract. That means the conclusion can sound logically neat while resting on a very debatable moral assumption.
And look, I just want to stop you there because that's something so important in today's society, because we are being dictated to every single day on moral levels, not rational levels. This happens all the time.
I've got an example, and I can't quote the exact same thing, but it was from Cheek Media, right? Which we freaking hate. I saw
friend of the show, Cheek Media,
literally going, "Yay, girlies!" And it said, "The rise of Pauline Hanson is aggravating far-right racist sentiment. Women, something like women women are combating this by moving further to the left. Do you reckon I can find it? No, I don't want to find it. I don't even want to find it. But it was something like basically saying women, like our far left take. So no, the premise is the same sort of thing as this. Being far right is bad.
Yeah.
We are not that. We are the opposite of that. Therefore, we are good.
Mm-hmm.
But it was talking about the actions of being politically active.
To combat far right, you need to move further left.
Yeah. It was like, no, that's not the right
Don't
answer.
we all think that far right and far left are both bad? And perhaps everyone should move back towards the centre?
Yeah, cheek media, you're nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Should I keep reading that? Or
no, look, we get it, right? But again, the thing that I just want to keep bringing back to is, this is why you always have to question the incentives behind anything. Because the guy who, the climate change angle, right? He's been telling us that cow farts are the problem for decades. And he's actually already got a product which he sells in Australia. It's called Ruminate. Have you heard of this? Ruminate is a seaweed-based cattle feed, which cuts down on methane, burps, and farts. Don't forget too, I sent you, bring up the last thing I sent. This was another Bill Gatesism, right? About climate change. And don't forget, he's been pushing renewable energy and...
Which one is it?
The last thing I sent you.
The Guardian?
Forbes.
Or cattle?
Forbes. Starts with a Bill Gates venture. Should be right at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have that one. There we go.
So this was another Bill Gates venture. The Bill Gates venture aims to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun. What could go wrong?
We spoke about this. Like, you want to transition us to renewables using solar, and then you're going to block out the sun.
Yeah, and this idea came up in 2021. It's not that long ago. We were already and truly into the renewables transition when this idea came up.
This idea actually came out in 1999 in the movie The Matrix, when the AI was running rampant, and they thought they were all solar powered at the time, and the humans decided that they would block out the sun.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
Yeah. So, and again, just to bring it back to the central focus of this chat, which is essentially, you have got a cabal of globalists, of which Bill Gates is just one of, but I would say one of the most powerful of these globalists, who are systemically, number one, psyoping you into believing narratives which are against your quality of life. Meanwhile, they are creating problems which don't exist.
Yeah.
And then they are also creating fake solutions which don't fix the problem, which they are then profiteering from. But because they don't fix the problem, it then justifies more public expenditure on the next fix, or the next fix, or the next fix.
Money is the main driver of all of this.
Money makes the world go round.
Let me just read the very last thing. So the core tension. Here's the intuitive conflict. The paper is trying to solve one moral problem by creating another. If an intervention harms people directly, removes their ability to choose, and can be severe or life-threatening, many readers will think that crosses a basic moral boundary, even before debating meat ethics. So the wrongness you feel is likely a mix of moral recoil, questionable premises, and a slippery jump from philosophy to something that sounds disturbingly actionable. The reaction is pretty understandable, given how abstract it's written.
Yeah, I mean, it says it all, doesn't it? But, again, so getting back to that whole, the standard that people hold everyone to, do not forget, during COVID, when people like us would come online and we would talk about the vaccine rollout and how the most egregious one was when we were saying it doesn't stop transmission. It clearly didn't. We saw massive amounts of evidence of that during the pandemic, especially on Freedom Day, when all the vaccinated people were allowed to leave the house and everyone else wasn't. And then all of a sudden, COVID started spreading like wildfire because it didn't stop the transmission. And everyone in the mainstream media and politicians all said the same thing. You are not an epidemiologist. You are not a vaccinologist. You are not a scientist. You are not qualified to talk about these things. And yet, we've got this fucking nerd who gets to fly around the world and tell governments, don't forget, he was here in, was it 2023? I think we covered it on the show.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it had something to do with setting up this arm of Oxytec down under, because I do find it convenient that Bill Gates meets with Anthony Albanese in January 2023. Brett Sutton resigns from the Chief Health Officer of Victoria and takes over the CSIRO gig in September 2023. And Oxytech Australia is set up shortly after that. Like, I don't find that surprising at all, because Brett Sutton was one of the useful idiots which promoted Bill Gates' last big pet project, and now he'll do it again through Oxytech. Right? Like, so not applying a standard to us as podcasters on the internet that you don't apply to a nerd with no qualifications in this space who is literally setting public health policy all over the world for the most random shit. Meanwhile, he's also the largest independent owner of farmland in the United States. Go figure.
Well, that was the part that I wanted to bring up, which is for someone like, how many attack vectors is he using to try and stop meat? Like, he really hates meat that much. He doesn't hate, so he hates meat because of the CO2, but doesn't hate CO2 enough to not fly private.
Well, yeah, and that's the irony of like fucking was it the last COP summit? Was that the one that was in the Amazon rainforest where they bulldozed like 20 kilometers of Amazon rainforest to build a venue and a road for all these?
Do you know why? Because fuck you. That's why.
Absolutely. So again, like at some point in time, even if you have been heavily indoctrinated into this space, if you're a true believer in climate change and those sorts of things, you have to look at your leadership in that space and go, they are not practicing what they preach. Like, maybe the message is correct, but these guys are clearly not doing what they say that they need to do. And look, as far as the largest holder of farmland in America, I know what Bill Gates' play is. You remove widespread commercial agriculture of cow-related products. He creates lab-grown meat, which is what all of the peons like us will be allowed to eat. And then he also has his own cattle that he gets to sell at an extremely high price to all of the elites that will still want to eat it. That's what the play is.
And wasn't it very similar with, like, was it Bovaer? Was that other product that they were trying to bring in?
Bovaer, yeah.
Bovaer. And there's almost like you can see there's like a regulatory vector that they're trying to take too. It's like, make this the standard. And then, yeah, like you said, if he becomes the only person that's still able, like, knock all your competitors out through regulations or licensing requirements or new products that you can jack. I know they've spoken about this with certain seeds in Europe. You need a specific seed, which I think Bill Gates has his hands in that too.
That was a Monsanto thing.
Yeah. And the seeds are like triple the price of like normal seeds, but you have to use them under EU regulations.
Yeah, they genetically modified seeds which create crops of fruits and vegetables that don't seed themselves. Therefore, a farmer can't grow a watermelon, take the seeds out of it, and then plant to create more watermelons. You have to keep buying these same seeds.
Yeah.
And to make matters even worse, they're also patented. So if a farmer is using those seeds and there's some overflow which goes into a neighboring farm that doesn't use them, those crops that grow are owned by the seed manufacturer.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's stuff like that. And that's, yeah, that's where my brain just comes straight back to, we shouldn't be listening to these fucking people.
No.
You need to ask what the underlying motivations are. It's not it's not the headline.
It's always not what they're talking about. That's the starting point.
And it's usually the money.
Yeah.
90% of times it's the money. So if you go follow the money, that's why the term follow the money is so apt, you know? Follow the money and you'll see it. And Jason, I think you've done some great investigative journalism here. Like,
thank you, sir.
Kudos to you. Because I hadn't heard about the story, but when you've stacked the stuff up there, dude, it's 100%.
It lines
100%.
up. And just remember, next time you see him on TV, that Billy G is not my doctor. Huh. He's just a nerd who says that he is the one who'll use dust to block the sun. What a moron.
And okay, another thing. So some of these people that will blindly follow this guy are also the people and I know I hate doing this, but I know some of
these people, yeah. Like, unfortunately, stereotypes exist for a reason.
As soon as Trump says something, they're like, you're just saying this to get rid of the Epstein files.
Yeah.
He was in the Epstein files more than anyone.
Yeah.
Like,
he liked them kids.
Yeah, right? That guy.
Yeah.
So, great work.
No wonder why he wants to block out the sun. He doesn't want flash photography on the island.
Yeah. Can we talk about can we just do one light-hearted thing? Can we talk about the enhanced games?
Yeah, why not?
So the Enhanced Games just happened this weekend in Las Vegas. And for those that don't know, it's basically the Olympics, but on
On the
steroids.
juice, bruh. Yep.
Like literally on steroids. And James Magnuson has been our sort of the Australian connection to this. When did he swim last?
Gee, 20 years ago, probably. He'd be 40 now, wouldn't he?
So, the idea being, can you juice yourself to the gills to remain competitive, even when
At
you're
an
past your
older
prime?
age. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was on the 2011 and 2013 freestyle world champion.
Mhm.
2016. No. When did he go?
So sort of 13, 14 years ago.
2012 Summer Olympics, 2013 World Champions. Yeah, okay. So it was. No, he was in 2016. He got a bronze medal in 2016.
Mhm.
He ran in 2018, but not individually. So he must have retired after 2018.
Right.
So, and there were pictures of him where he looked like friggin' Thor.
He looked like a walnut.
He was huge.
Yeah.
It probably went too far, and then he trimmed it back down. Now, I was having a lot of debates with people at the gym about this. There's some professional athletes there, and everyone was a hater. And the reason why they're a hater is because I think they only broke one world record. One enhanced person broke a world record,
Right.
and none of the other people did. So they're basically saying it's not worth it. And I was like, okay, but how old are they?
Mm.
And they didn't have the answer to that question. And I'm like, well, if you take Magnuson, for example, he's 10 years at least past his prime.
Yeah.
And sure, now he didn't have a good event of the day, and things change. You're not. I don't think he swam even what his personal best was.
As someone who's about to return to the basketball court after a month out due to old man plantar fasciitis tonight, I know what it feels like to be 8 years past your prime, bro.
Well, as someone who is enhanced themselves, I can tell you what it feels like to be putting up double the numbers of your next, guys. Okay, scenario was
I can tell the audience what it feels like to finally have erections again.
Someone who's talking a whole lot of shit about the enhanced games and not sort of getting the point, not getting my point that, and even the professional athlete, I was saying, your career will only be quite small, right? Well, what if you could extend that out? Wouldn't that be good for you?
Yep.
And she hasn't made her decision how she feels about it. She's conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that Natty and engineered should be in the same thing. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is...
You don't think that they should box in the Olympics against chicks?
No, I don't. Funny that. I think there should be a product of enhanced games, which to me is like the Formula One of car racing. Okay,
Yeah.
Those cars you can't take on the road. They're not cars anymore, but they're cars, right? They're just crazily enhanced, and a lot of the technology and the information that you derive from that ends up into regular road cars.
Yeah, correct.
So what if through this sport, and now you're being able to monetize sport, and you're getting eyes on it, what if you're able to learn a whole bunch of things about ways that you can enhance people?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my other argument is too, what do you deem as performance enhancing?
Yeah.
And what isn't? Is arguably, if someone who doesn't drink water is not going to perform as well as someone that drinks water.
Yeah, that's where this stuff gets really tricky.
Yeah, so who decides where that line is between what's a performance enhancing and what, is it injections, or is it, if it's oral, is it okay? If it's in powder form, is it okay?
Is it having a state-of-the-art facility to train in when other countries don't?
Yeah, totally. So there's all these types of... It is a complicated conversation, but I think you should absolutely try it. These are willing participants that are doing it. This is not an experiment perpetuated by a government that's telling everyone to inject, so they can go to a cafe. This is not like that. This is, hey, do you want to swim so hard that you throw the water out of the pool on your stroke? But the irony of this conversation is the loudest critic in the room is 12 years younger than me and benched half what I did, and then I still beat him in the conditioning session after that. And I was like, it might not have worked for them, but it definitely worked for me.
Yeah, your opinion is invalid. Look, I can understand this from an ethical perspective of not wanting to make young kids growing up seeing these athletes think that they have to do this to be successful.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yep.
But at the same time, we've also got global governments and everything in instructing young people to put other hormones in their bodies from an early age all the time, which is life-changing. And to me, like, cut my D off or get jacked and have like maximum performance in the pool, I'm probably taking option number 2.
And even the other thing too, just being able to like pay these athletes.
Yeah.
So Olympics, we've said it a bunch of times. Olympics is a scam, dude.
Absolutely.
It's slave labor.
Mm-hmm.
You train, you spend, you come to at great cost to yourself personally to go and perform to get a not real gold medal.
Yep.
Used to be gold.
Gold-plated.
Gold-plated medal. And sure, you get anything that's attached to that. But what if, like, you know, what if the code was actually going to pay you for the work that you do?
Yeah, well, Magnussen got paid $50,000 for going to the enhanced game. So it's probably more than he made in his entire swimming career up to that point, apart from endorsements.
Yeah.
And again, you only get endorsements if you're the guy who comes first every 4 years.
But I think it kind of goes into what you started off the show by saying, that you had to have a look. I don't think those people in the gym that were discussing it had really thought about it deeply outside of the feelings that they had towards it, which it felt like cheating.
To be fair, the stories you bring in here about the gym, they really reinforce the meathead culture of gyms, because it doesn't sound like these people look into anything.
No, they don't. And look, I'm sure most people don't. Although in saying that, my workplace is very enhanced. So they were all very much for the enhanced.
You guys playing enhanced games every day.
Yeah. But going to the worrying about kids, I guess there's other aspects. I would say that kids should think about it like they do golf, I guess, which is there's the elite version of golf, and then when you've passed that, you join the masters. There's once you've finished in Formula One, you then go to like GT racer cars.
Yeah.
Like you go to slower shit after.
Yep.
And I think you should look at this in the same way. It's like, I want to extend myself to the absolute best I can possibly do naturally.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the absolute goal. And then when that starts to taper, here's something that I can do to help prolong. If you wanted to prolong your career, you could prolong your career.
And look, I think too that there is a massive, like, again, not to talk about COVID all the time, but think about during COVID, the sales pitch of mRNA was, we've got this amazing thing which is so easy to program to do all kinds of different things. If we can get wide-scale adoption of this early on, we can essentially kickstart a testing procedure where we see what works, what doesn't, and look at all of the things we might be able to achieve with mRNA in the future.
Mm.
And I think, we're getting into this space now where hormone replacement and peptides is starting to become more and more spoken about. And when you really think about this stuff, this is far better for when it comes to human optimization than any regular pharmaceutical is, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially a lot of these other peptides they're talking about, like retatrutide is the big one that everyone's discussing at the moment, which is essentially working like a GLP-1 and TRT supplement in the same thing. So more advantages, far less downsides than some of the traditional stuff. And you just have to look at how technology progresses over time when there is a market for it. So if you legalize this stuff, you create a market for it, the products will get exponentially better in a short period of time, which then probably leads you to a point where you get, especially older people, going through their advanced stages of life in a far healthier manner, which then takes pressure off the healthcare system and the hospitals and all that sort of stuff there too.
Yeah,
so I think there's a moral argument.
The biggest killer in the Western world is obesity.
Yeah.
GLP-1s come on the scene, literally make obesity an option.
Yeah.
Right? And no one, so yes, some people are critical of it because they think you're taking a shortcut, but we know from the health benefits far outweigh the downsides, liver failure and whatever, that kind of shit.
Yep.
And then now there's, like you said, Redder is a better version of it that fixes a lot of those problems. And there's going to be a better version of Redder.
Exactly.
And then but why is that not treated the same as like these people here? That was their job. Like, I think most people are looking at it like, you don't need that stuff. You don't need it because as long as you're alive, that's all that counts.
But also,
think about it for these guys were athletes at their peak of their life.
Yeah.
Their dedication was to training, to working out, to being competitive, psychologically getting yourself ready to do that. And what do you want them to do when they can't do that anymore?
Yeah, when they aged out.
Yeah. So this, if anything, it's going to give some like real mental and cognitive benefits, and I think about NRL players all the time. How long is an NRL player's career?
Look, honestly, the statistics are probably updated now, but the average career used to be 41 games, which is essentially 2 seasons.
Wow,
that's the average career.
Because it's so hard on you. But what if there was a way that they could they could keep their health?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't we want that?
Yeah, like especially with all the CTE stuff, like you could have peptides which like protect you cognitively, and like there was a story during the week, and again, not talk about NRL again, but Jai Arrow literally just had to retire because he's just been diagnosed with motor neurons disease, and like that is a horrendous disorder. Like unfortunately, the prospects aren't good. It's like months to years. And it goes on like that, and it's
so I find it a bit rich that the people are very quick to, and the comments section on the enhanced games is scathing. Like I would say 90, and look, it might just be my algorithm, which is funny because I'm pro it.
Yep.
90% are hateful comments about how like weak and stupid and like they're cheating. And
do you know what my rebuttal to it is? How was the vaccine not the easy way out?
Yeah, totally.
Right? Totally. Just jab it in my arm and then I'm all good to go. I don't need to drink less, eat healthier, exercise, get vitamin D. I don't need to do any work. You just give me the shot and I'm good to go. That's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It was the easy way out.
And I just feel like I think we'll look back on, I'm sure this will get up. I'm sure that more and more people will watch it. The spectacle will be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we're only learning too. Like I know Magnuson had problems trying to get a coach because if you're like an accredited,
if one of your athletes is like gets popped by USADA or something, you'll get done too. Probably lose your licensing.
Yeah, so Magnuson couldn't get coaches within Australia. Or they weren't willing to do it because they didn't want to have their names associated with it.
I would coach them.
I just think it's something...
One arm after the other,
100%.
follow the black line.
Yeah, and just do it harder and faster.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, like talking to people that when they said, they didn't get the world records, like, well, they just didn't do enough gear. Like, once they do more of it, they'll be...
But also, imagine if they were doing gear in their teenage years all the way through to their prime. Like, what would they look like back then?
Yeah, well, now, we don't recommend that.
No,
we don't recommend
of course. But, okay, we don't now because we don't have the technology.
Yeah.
But if you mainstream this stuff, you make a market for it, and again, I know you hate this word, but you do regulate it, right? By real regulators, not TGA fake regulators.
No, just Google reviews.
Yeah.
Hey, this put hair on my elbows. 1 star.
Yeah. But essentially, if you let the free market do its job and create better and better and safer and more effective products every single year because you create a market for it. Like, you let the free market do this thing. And
I wonder
the end result, like what you say about Formula One. Formula One is the pinnacle of vehicle technology. What the regular punter off the street doesn't understand is a lot of that technology flows down into regular passenger cars. Safety features, electronic features, new alloys and materials to reduce like weight and increase performance. All that stuff flows down from Formula One. This could be the same thing, but for your chassis, for your health. And imagine, like, the number one thing in life is it's not the amount of years that you live, it's the amount of life in those years.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
So if you're 50, 60, 70, and you're able to enjoy those years with a far superior standard of living than last generation's people of the same age, that is morally obligatory. We should be doing this.
I would say economically, we have no choice because we're going to be working longer.
Yeah.
We don't have the replacement age too, so we're going to have to do it. But also, I just want to say this, and we can do this in closing.
And if we're all on the juice, we can wipe our own asses, Peter Malinowski.
Well, I won't be able to because it'll be too huge.
Yeah. I'll help you out, bro. I'll help you out.
I want to say this to all the haters of the enhanced games. I hope you're not taking Panadol when you get a headache.
Yeah.
Because that's
performance enhancing drug.
That's performance enhancing. So I hope you're raw dogging that too, dude.
Yeah. Let's leave it there. On that note, thank you very much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.